As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening. This week it is episode 82 and we are talking StarFox for the fucking Super Nintendo. Welcome back. It is so good to be back with you guys. Thanks for your patience. And I guess this isn't fake enthusiasm. I am fucking excited. I missed this show. In case you didn't know, I lost my voice over some week or two doing some comedy shows. You can probably still hear it. I've got a hint of puberty, still traces of it still in the old vocal cords there. Had to take the week off, but we're back. Let's fucking go. And you know what's crazy, you guys, is our podcast downloads are up 5%. Over the previous 2 weeks. So the 2 weeks that just passed to the 2 week section prior to that, we're up 5%. And we haven't released an episode in 2 weeks. So without dropping an episode, our downloads went up 5%. That is insane to me. So thank you to every single one of you that's been downloading. All of you, I've received a lot of messages over the last 2 weeks from new listeners. Welcome aboard. Thank you so much for checking out the show. I know some of you have mentioned your new listeners on Spotify. It pointed out that the early chunk of the podcast is not available on there. They fucked us. Just to give you the quick and short of it, I guess, like when I started uploading the show way back like a year and a half ago, it was working great. And then all of a sudden they stopped showing up on Spotify after like 6 or 7 episodes and I didn't know why. And I reached out to Spotify and they were like, oh, they're not MP3s. They're not, because I guess I was uploading it as a different type of format, like a WAV file or something. And they were like, it's not an MP3, so we couldn't bring it over to Spotify, even though they were for the first 7 or 8 episodes. So I had to refresh the feed once I noticed that they weren't going over there anymore. But that's why there's 30 or 40 missing. So if you're new to the show and you're listening on Spotify, like, fuck yeah, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for checking us out. And if you want to catch all the episodes that are missing, you can literally find them them everywhere except Spotify. They're on every other, like Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, YouTube. I think they're on all of those. There might be one or two missing off YouTube because we caught copyright flags. I know the Grand Theft Auto Vice City episode got flagged because I used that Flock of Seagulls song, but I don't get too many listens on YouTube anyway, so you know, I was worth the chance. Fuck them. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is our downloads actually went up despite not releasing an episode, and that is really fucking cool. Because admittedly, like I've worked pretty hard to try to gain a following here, and when I had to take a week or two off, I was afraid that we'd lose all of the ground we kind of made up. But we didn't. We didn't. So thank you guys all. We're at almost 5,000 downloads in the last 30 days, and that's without an episode in 2 weeks. So fuck yeah. Thanks, guys. I guess quickly, if you want to skip through all the rest of this and just listen to us talk about StarFox, you can. If you look in the description box, there will be a timestamp. But I suggest hanging around because I got some really cool stuff to talk about. Including, here comes your quick Patreon plug. Next week, I will be doing shout-outs to everyone that is subscribed on our Patreon. I'll also be doing the prize draw next week because I'm on the road again most of this week, but then I'm home for a few days before I hit the road again. So I got to get the prize draw out of the way. You'll be getting your shout-outs next week, and your first bonus episode of the podcast will be going live on Monday, and it may or may not be about a certain shovel-wielding knight. And if you like it when I get passionate about a game, this episode will be the one for you. So it's a great time to sign up. $2 a month. You're going to get in. If you get in, I would suggest getting in by Sunday. What is Sunday? I didn't have my calendar open here. Sunday is the 9th. I would get in. You know what? I would get in by Friday the 7th because I'll probably get the draw out of the way on the 8th. So get into the podcast if you want to get in on this month's draw by Friday the 7th. You'll get entered in the draw. You get all that stuff. Plus, you get 14 bonus episodes of the podcast, all sitting there waiting for you. 7 Q&As, 7 game reviews, Cuphead, Octopath Traveler, Golf Story, Pokemon Sword and Shield, The Link's Awakening remake, The Messenger, and Celeste, with number 8, Shovel Knight, coming on Monday. There's your plug, patreon.com/remember the game, $2 a month. And thank you all so much. We got some new Patreons. I'm going to give all the shout outs next week, but welcome aboard and thanks to all of you for supporting the show. And I can't wait to give away another prize. That's going to be a lot of fun. I got a little bit of news. What are we at here? We're 5 minutes. We're doing fine. And my voice is holding up. We're okay. When I talk low like that, hey, I mean, my girlfriend hates it, but I don't know. You guys probably hate it too. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. I posted about this over on my Instagram and stuff too. At Member the Game. We'll follow you back. Follow us. Instagram and Twitter. There's a company in Japan, in Tokyo. I believe they're called MariKar. 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 I don't know how to say it. But anyway, you've probably seen something about them. They're like this wicked fucking cool company in Tokyo where you can pay money to drive around Tokyo on go-karts, and they give you like a full tour of Tokyo on these go-karts, but you can do it dressed as Mario characters. Like the cost includes the go-kart plus the rental of a character, costume, and shit like that. My girlfriend and I did it when we were in Japan a couple years ago. And I swear to, like, this is not any kind of hyperbole or exaggeration or anything. One of the coolest experiences of my whole fucking life. Like Tokyo, and I don't know if I have any listeners in Tokyo. If I do, please reach out to me because I have a crush on your entire country and in Tokyo and in Japan. I fucking loved it over there. It was such a beautiful city, and ripping around it on these, like when I say ripping around on these go-karts, like we were going like 50, 60 miles an hour at times across these beautiful bridges, just looking out at the ocean and everything, I dressed as Bowser and my girlfriend dressed as Princess Peach. And it was so fucking cool. And we were in a group of 6, and there were 2 other guys in our group. I don't know where they were from. We didn't really talk to them. And they dressed as Mario and Luigi, which was rad. But then the other 2 people, this guy and this girl, this couple, dressed as like Cookie Monster and Minion. And I was like, you clearly don't play video games, but like there's a Wario costume, a Donkey Kong costume, and a Yoshi costume fucking right there. And if you could just dress as 2 more video game characters for the sake of these pictures, that would have been so fucking really, but they had to be Cookie Monster and Minion. And so whenever you look at all of our pictures, it's my girlfriend and I at the front, like side by side, sitting in like downtown Tokyo in these go-karts dressed as Princess Peach and Bowser. Then behind us is a Minion and Cookie Monster. And then behind them is Mario and Luigi. And it just probably bothers me a lot more than it should. But anyway, the point I wanted to go with this whole story is Nintendo sued them, and they've been fighting with each other for a while, and basically Nintendo won, and I think they won like a $450,000 cash settlement, which I have to assume is a lot of fucking money to like a little company like this, and they're not allowed to use Mario or Nintendo character costumes anymore. I guess Nintendo filed it as like, hey, we're not associated with you. You guys can't do that. And I'm a little bit like, they advertise all over their site that we're not associated with Nintendo. We have nothing to do with them. This isn't Nintendo authorized or anything. To me, like, they're giving out go-kart tours and you renting out costumes. Like, I could go buy a Mario costume tomorrow and rent it out to people. I don't quite get how it works, but I guess they can't do it anymore, which is a real kick in the pants. Like, cause like half of the cool, like, dude, I'm telling you guys, like when you're dressed up as these Nintendo characters on these go-karts sitting in downtown Japan, every time you stop at a light, fucking people are just like taking pictures of you and waving at you and smiling, and you feel like a little celebrity. Legitimately, one of probably the 5 coolest days of my life. It was fucking incredible. And it'll still be fun. If you ever go to Japan, I highly recommend you take the go-kart tour. But unfortunately, you can't dress as a Nintendo character anymore while you do it, which is a real kick in the teeth. Fucking, like, I love you, Nintendo. I love you. We are soulmates. But why you gotta be like that, right? Why, you know? I love Tokyo so much too. God, I love that. I would move there if I had the opportunity. I would move to Tokyo. No joke. And I love Canada. Don't get me wrong. Oh Canada and all that good stuff. But I would love to move to Tokyo. The Switch recently, speaking of Nintendo, recently surpassed the Super Nintendo in lifetime sales. And I've said it on here many times. You guys know I'm a Nintendo fanboy. The Switch, in my own heart, has recently passed the Super Nintendo as my favorite console of all time. And that's not something I say lightly. But like literally the only thing left to do is put another half a dozen of my favorite Super Nintendo games on the Switch, primarily Donkey Kong's and Earthbound and maybe Final Fantasy IV. And like all of my favorite games from the Super Nintendo would be on the Switch along with all the great Switch titles, and I could play them all on the go. It's my favorite console ever, and it's cool to see it so successful that it recently surpassed the Super Nintendo. It also recently surpassed the Xbox One, and I'm not shitting on Xbox One. I know I used to, but for anyone that's been listening to the show lately, I own an Xbox One now, and I am quite smitten with it. But the Nintendo Switch came out in 2017. The Xbox One came out in 2013. And so in 4 less years, the Switch has outsold it. Like, it is on fire. I'm looking at the numbers right now. The Switch is at 52.5 million. Next up is the NES at 62 million. So they're less than 10 million behind the NES. So they're going to pass that. Nintendo's come out and said it's going to be around for a few more years. They're not getting rid of it anytime soon. And I would love to see it catch the Wii, because if you take like the Game Boy line and the Nintendo DS line out and you just go with like home consoles, which I know the Switch is portable, but whatever. If you take those out of the equation, the Wii is the best-selling Nintendo console of all time at 101 million, and I don't think it's impossible that the Nintendo Switch catches it. If I'm not mistaken, because the PS4 is the second best-selling home console ever after the PS2, and I don't think anyone's ever going to touch the PS2. But if I'm not mistaken, the Switch is outselling the PS4 as far as its rate, like where this PS4 was at this point in its lifespan compared to the Switch. So Nintendo, like, after the Wii U and the horrible fuck up the Wii U was, like, you've really turned the corner. You're fucking rolling. Do not fuck this up. Make the Switch the best selling system of all time instead of that fucking white turd, the Nintendo Wii. I hate that thing. So anyway, that was really cool. I saw that, made me happy because I love the Switch, and I'm glad it's doing so well. Speaking of, I'll talk a little PS4, a little Xbox One, and then we're going to get to StarFox. The Final Fantasy VII remake is delayed slightly. I can't remember if I mentioned that on the last episode I did or not, but the point is this new footage dropped of it, including the part, I guess spoilers, I can't imagine anyone listening to this doesn't already know, but there's a point where Cloud has to dress up like a girl to try to convince this guy to talk or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and everyone was curious if they were going to put the cross-dressing scene in the game, and they did, and they've actually released some footage of it, and it looks dope. This game looks remarkable. It's fucking gorgeous. Like, I'll admit it. Like, I have completely bought into the hype. I've almost completely bought into the hype. I won't be pre-ordering it. I haven't bought that into the hype. You guys know I've ranted about that on here before. I'm pretty anti-pre-order. A game has got to be something special before I'll give you money for it, before I buy it. Particularly as a digital gamer, I don't have to worry about you selling out. I can buy it anytime, and it'll download in like an hour or two. So I'm going to check out the reviews first, but I cannot imagine a way I don't play it. I'm very excited. It looks gorgeous. We're all excited. We're all looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII remake. My one concern is how long this game is going to be, because they're saying this is just part one, which fucking chaps my ass, because they're going to bend us over for like 3 or 4 parts to this fucking game. But this part is just Midgar. If I'm not mistaken, this game will end when you leave Midgar, is what they've been saying. And they've also said, because I think that only takes, I haven't played Final Fantasy VII in fucking years, but I don't think it's that long before you leave Midgar. It's got to only be 5 or 6 hours tops, right? And they're saying that they've really flushed it out and it's going to be a full-size game. But I'm curious to know what a full-size game is. Like, because I'll be honest with you, if it's like a 10-hour game, I'm not going to be that impressed. Even I don't care how much you flush it out. Like, if it's only 10 hours, I'm not going to be that pleased. If you hit that 20-hour mark, I mean, ideally it's a 30 or 40-hour thing. I don't think it's going to be. But you better hit at least 20 square, and it better be good. It better not be fucking garbage, you know? But it looks sick. I'm excited. If you haven't seen it yet, I shared the trailer over on our Facebook page, facebook.com/rememberthegame. It looks sick. I'm excited. Go check it out. What a crazy year. This is the last thing I wanted to touch on before I get to what I've been playing, and then we'll talk StarFox. What an insane year for gaming 2020 is going to be. It is fucking, like, 2019 was fine, but I mean, like, Control won Game of the Year, and people seem cool with that. But the reason they won a Game of the Year was because there was no massive AAA, you know, Red Dead 2, Grand Theft Auto, Last of Us, fucking whatever, you know, nuclear, you know, Breath of the Wild fucking bomb dropped in 2019. And in 2020, like, holy hell, just off the top of my head, some of the games that are going to be coming out on 2020, like this, the next 12 months, it's a new Halo is coming out with the new X. Oh yeah, we're getting a new Xbox and a new PlayStation. The Xbox Series X, the PS5 are coming out. With that, we're going to be getting a new Halo. There's Last of Us 2, Cyberpunk, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Avengers, Doom Eternal, Resident Evil 3 Remake. There's a new Ori game. Who knows what else is going to pop up? And that's just for Xbox and PlayStation. Then you look at Nintendo, they've got Animal Crossing, Breath of the Wild 2 is still possible, but it's starting to sound more and more like that's not going to happen. But now rumors are floating around that we may get a new Mario Kart, which would be fucking ridiculous, right? You know, plus who knows if Nintendo and Microsoft team up more. There's all these rumors about Game Pass or maybe xCloud or something showing up on the Switch. We're getting new Smash Brothers DLC. It's just, fuck, man. Like, what an insane time to be a gamer. Like, I love my Switch. I am adoring my Xbox One thanks to Game Pass. And I'm going to plug the shit out of Game Pass forever because it's incredible. I cannot wait to get my hands on a PS4 again in time for Final Fantasy VII Remake in April. There's just so many games. And I'm trying to go through more old retro games for this show. Like, it's too much. Like, it's too much. I cannot imagine if fucking 12-year-old me knew the access to games that I would have in 2020, he would lose his mind. What an insane time to be a gamer. I fucking love it. It's the best. Oh, yeah. And then there's that Google Stadia, fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. New Xbox, new PlayStation, Switch is on fire. It is a good time to be a gamer. What have I been playing? You guys are probably wondering. I've been gone for 2 weeks. What have I been playing over that time? I'm going to tell you right after this.
Oh my gosh! So close! He kicked out! He kicked out! He kicked out!
Hey geeks, I love video games, and I also love pro wrestling. And after hyping it up for about a year and a half now, my new wrestling podcast is here. Wrestling with Wrestling. It looks at the workings of WWE, NXT, AEW, and whatever else I want from the world of the squared circle. Give it a shot. Search for Adam Blank Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. And make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WW Wrestling Pod. POD will follow you back. Check it out. And thanks to all of you that have checked that show out and gave me good reviews on it as well, too. It obviously isn't getting the numbers that Remember the Game is, but fucking, it's been cool, so thanks a lot. What have I been playing over the last 2 weeks when I haven't been able to talk and I've been working on getting my voice back? I played through and finished Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. Good. Good. Not great. Good. It started out great. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. When I started playing it, I was like, this is fucking awesome. And admittedly, Like, I kind of felt like it overstayed its welcome. I have no idea what the fuck was going on in the story. I have no idea. I don't know if that's because I wasn't paying close enough attention or what, but I have no clue what the fuck the story was going to be. A couple of times I kind of had to look up what to do. It was very cryptic. Now, as a spirit, I don't know if it's a spiritual successor to Castlevania or not. I drew a lot of comparisons to Castlevania, and particularly Symphony of the Night. And I never finished Symphony of the Night. I only ever played it for a little while on my Vita. But I guess this is kind of a spoiler for Bloodstained. I was about 40% of the way through the map, and then I ran into the apparent final boss and beat him, and then that was just it. It rolled the credits and it was over. And I was like, well, what the fuck? And then it turns out that much like Symphony of the Night, you can go way further in, and there's like a whole different final boss and everything if you put more work into it. But I didn't know what the fuck to do, and it was good. It's just so much backtracking and shit and trying to figure out where to go, and then like to 100% it to try to get all the different fucking items and all the side quests and food and everything. Fuck that. But I did beat the true final boss. I finished it with like 99.5% of the map. I couldn't figure out what like 2 little spots I was missing. Good. I don't know if I'll ever go. I doubt. I don't. I not know. I will not ever go back to it. I don't know if I would suggest it like for like $50 or $60 or anything, or $40 or whatever it is. But if you see it on sale and you like those types of games, it's fun. I would put Hollow Knight ahead of it. I would put Ori and the Blind Forest ahead of it as far as like Metroidvanias go, Guacamelee as well. But it was good. It was fun. It was a fun game. I'm playing through The Witcher 3 on my Switch, and it's very, like, it's almost uncomfortable for me to play because I'm really enjoying it. It's fun, but like, as I'm sure most of you know, like Witcher 3 is an absolutely gargantuously big game, and I'm like, I'm never going to 100% it, but I really want to finish it. I want to see how the story is. But I'm like, I have so much other stuff I want to play. And every time I log in and chip away at Witcher 3, I finish it and I like turn off my Switch and finish my session. And I'm like, fuck, like, should I have been playing something else to trying to get through stuff that I can actually get through? Because The Witcher 3 seems so daunting, but it runs good. If you've been considering it on the Switch and you haven't picked it up, I would endorse it. I haven't found it broken at all yet. I'm having fun with it, and I'm gonna finish it eventually. Maybe just in time for fucking Cyberpunk, and that'll become my new. It's a great side piece, like to go with like a shorter game that you're working on, to just have a big game like Witcher 3 or I guess Red Dead 2 or one of those games that you can just plug away at forever. So it's going good. I played a certain dolphin-centric Genesis game on my Sega Classic, but I've rage quit it too many fucking times. We'll cover it on the show upcoming. I have a session scheduled to talk about it immediately. And if you follow my social media, again, @member of the game, you can see my thoughts on it as of now. But fucking whoever, I'll have his name for the episode. Whoever was in charge of that fucking dolphin, a certain dolphin that starts with an E on the Sega Genesis, is a sick fuck. And then I'm firing up Resident Evil 3 tonight on my PlayStation Classic. I'm pretty excited to get my hands on that. I want to finish it before the remake comes out. I want to talk about it here on the show. So that's my next retro project, is Resident Evil 3. I'm going to fire that up probably about an hour after I'm done this. Good enough, you guys. It's 20 minutes. I got to shut the fuck up. I missed you guys. I know it's been 20 minutes. You can skip it if you want. If you're still listening, you didn't skip it. You shouldn't skip it. Let's get to this week's episode. It's episode 82. We are talking StarFox for the Super Nintendo. And when I posted the teaser for this week's episode, I got some love on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I had some of you guys commenting and talking about fuck yeah and can't wait and yeah, Slippy, and talking about his voice and stuff. And I remember playing it as a kid, and I remember stupid Slippy and his whining and his and fucking help me Fox or whatever it is he used to say. But if you haven't played it, say you haven't played it since the mid 90s when it came out, maybe play it before you yell at me. Like, listen to the episode, and then before you yell at me for criticizing your beloved Space Zoo adventures, try playing it and just see how well it's held up. As my pal Tyler is here, he's a big StarFox fan, and we are taking you guys all the way back to 1993 this week. I'm going to cue some music, and we are going to talk StarFox, that originally released here in North America on March 26, 1993. Kick back and relax. Enjoy the show. Let's talk StarFox.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic perfect way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home. And they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. You have the distinction, Tyler, of being the very first guest on the show here in 2020. I don't know when the episode will actually go live. It may not be forever, but
2021.
Till 2021. Yeah, right. I wish I had that many in the bank. That'd be fucking sick. But as we record this, it is January 7th, 2020. So happy New Year, my friend, because I have not seen you in quite a while, actually.
Yeah, happy New Year.
And thanks for braving the cold that is out there to come over and talk. StarFox. Fucking StarFox. I feel like we're running out of like the like premier titles to talk about on the show. Like I'm slowly creeping into more of the niche titles, but I think StarFox still falls into that premier category.
So. I think it's a staple to the Nintendo universe. He's a character in Smash Brothers. That means he is.
Yeah, that means everything,
that
right?
means everything.
So is Wii Fit Trainer. So fucking.
Man, lots of people. My mom played Wii Fit.
Everybody played Wii Fit for like 4 days. Okay, so
New Year's resolution.
That's it. Yeah, Wii Fit. StarFox is weird, man, because it's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've got some pretty non-positive views on a lot of aspects of this game. I feel like StarFox is one of those franchises Nintendo just doesn't like. They don't use it. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe they think like, because they've released quite a few games in the series. Like I know there's the 3DS one, there's StarFox 64, there's StarFox Adventure on the GameCube, whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah. That was the one where you actually could get out of the ship.
I never played it, but I think that's one.
There's one where your ship actually like. Oh, that's the newest one, I think.
Yeah, I know some people don't like it because you could walk around or something.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't know if maybe Nintendo looks at it as like, hey, for the amount of money it costs to develop these, he's not a big enough franchise to sell. Like, I feel like StarFox is like half of a grade above like Kid Icarus and Punch, as far as like they just don't do anything with them. Like they haven't done anything with them in a while. I'm not shitting on it. I'm not saying quality wise. I'm just saying
they should.
Yeah, StarFox is like StarFox is like the Black Widow of the Hawkeye of the Nintendo cinematic universe. Like we know he's there and he's good.
He's cool. He has a cool factor.
Yeah, but they just don't do anything with him. Yeah. I don't get why. Like I just was looking and like the last StarFox game to come out. Well, okay, technically the last StarFox game to come out was StarFox 2 on the fucking Super Nintendo Classic and on the Switch Online. But before that, it looks like it was StarFox 0 on the Wii U. I didn't know there was a StarFox game on the Wii U.
Yeah. That'd be kind of fun.
Dude, and there you go. So I love Wii U. I love Nintendo, and I didn't even know there was a fucking StarFox game on the Wii U.
So it's actually their marketing department is dropping the ball.
Yeah, I feel like,
Nintendo, if you're listening.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
I want to let you know, Fox McCloud deserves to be marketed better.
There's only 15 Wii U's out there, so like, if 4 people bought the game, then that's anyway.
It's a success story.
We're not talking about the StarFox franchise. We're talking about the original Super Nintendo StarFox.
Came out in 1993.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, March 26, 1993. Do you like it?
Yeah, I would say as a child, one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. I thought Yeah, there weren't like really good flying games at that point. It's not like Ace Combat was out yet on the
No.
PlayStation or anything like that. And like the flight simulator on the computer was stupid because all you did was, all right, taking off in my Boeing 760, flying in the air. Okay, right.
Yeah, you didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything. You actually have like a protagonist, a solid cast of characters that are memorable. Like, those voice lines, re-listening to them, I was like, oh, yes.
Okay. Oh, fuck. So I have oh, fuck. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's just get into this fucking
but
game.
it's a good game. It's a good game.
Especially
for the time that it came out.
For its time, it's a good game.
For
Like, when was the
time.
last time you played StarFox? Have you played it recently?
Yeah, on my my SNES retro, like my little
The Super Nintendo Classic.
Classic, yeah.
It I literally was playing it 2 hours ago on my Switch. Like I've been playing it the last few days because I haven't played it in so long, and I was like, I'm gonna fire it up. No.
Because it takes about a half an hour.
Yeah, it's not. So like that was one of the first because I hadn't played it, dude. If it came out in '93, I never owned it. We used to rent it. My friend Rob owned it. I probably haven't played it since about 95 until like the last month when I was like, all right, better start playing it for the podcast. It is fucking short.
Super short.
Like, because you can pick one of the 3 different courses, right? And it's like, it basically is like easy, medium, or hard.
Yeah. But you can also like warp to the different courses based on how you do on a level. Like, I think there is a way in the asteroid belt to... you blew up 3 asteroids or something, and then you go through a circle and pew.
Oh, I didn't know that. So there's like warp zones then, basically. So like, I mean, I guess they had to do that kind of shit to give it a little
I might be
bit.
mixing up StarFox 64 and the Super Nintendo one.
Oh, okay.
But I'm pretty sure the original had warp zones as well.
I mean, it would make sense because there's literally only, otherwise there'd be like, if you spent like 60, 70, $80 on this fucking game as a kid, or your parents bought it for you or something, if literally you just went through those 3 maps and beat it and then that was it, you could have wrapped this thing up in 2 or 3 hours and been like, well...
You're overestimating my abilities as a child
at
video games.
Now, let me just say for the record, playing this as an adult now, I couldn't beat it.
Really?
As a kid, I could. But as I'm playing it now, I'm like, this game has aged fucking horribly.
Yeah.
Horribly. And I love retro games. And I can look past a lot of aging things with games because I'm like, well, that's how it was at the time. And I'll give it its credit. There is some stuff to it that I'll give it props for because there's great things it did.
Well, and at the time there was nothing like it.
Of course, exactly.
That's the big thing.
Yep.
And they promoted the shit out of that. So that
Sure they did.
The FX chip.
Yeah.
They were like, oh,
to me,
real 3D action.
Oh God! To me, this felt it literally. You know what it felt like? It felt like a Nintendo 64 demo on the Super Nintendo because it was so polygonal and just so basic. Like you're flying through like a fucking field and there's just these literal rectangles with flashing triangles on the top, and those will fall on you. And I get it. I understand what it did and the graphics and the 3D and all that shit, but like it has aged horribly.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this sucks. Playing it now fucking sucks. And no, I couldn't beat it because I couldn't tell what the fuck am I I was like, what am I even? I mean, I'm sure as a kid I was into
everything. Shoot at everything.
Yeah, but then when you shoot at everything, your fucking teammates are like, hey, watch your aim, Fox. And I'm like, go fist yourself, Falco, you stupid fuck. Get out of my way. Oh, fucking StarFox. I hate 2 of your 3 teammates. 1.5. I hate one of you, half of your teammates.
I hate all of them.
I hate Peppy.
Absolutely.
Peppy is the crappiest fucking character. Just the stupid rabbit that doesn't do fucking... What do your teammates do outside of occasionally flying through being like, hey, I need some help? And then you help them, and 2 of them thank you, and Falco tells you to mind your business. Falco's the best one because he's an asshole, and I respect that.
So if you equate the StarFox team to Ninja Turtles, Falco is the Raphael.
Falco is the Raphael. You're right. But he's much cooler than actual Raphael because he still seems like he's willing to help the team sometimes. I don't understand. Like, I get that your teammate is... I guess your teammates are there to, like... It literally feels like they threw them in to break up the monotony of you just... If it was just you, like if you didn't have those 3 popping up saying shit, this would be the boringest fucking... It would be so boring.
It would be like Galaga. Galaga?
Yeah, I always said Galaga.
Galaga?
That's what it would
Galaga.
be. It'd be a 3D Galaga.
It would be 3D Galaga without them.
So they throw them in, and I get that. Like, I mean, Peppy sucks. He doesn't even have a personality. He just feels like the obligatory 4th member.
Well, he's your mentor. He trained Fox. He
Did
taught
he?
him everything he knows.
Well, then how come he can't do anything
because
except
he sucks.
Oh,
Fox is the prodigy.
Right, like it literally feels like the other three are there to do nothing. That's just so it's like okay. So there's Peppy, the stupid rabbit that apparently trained the fox.
Yeah.
which makes no sense because Fox
Yeah,
is
and
Heat Rabbit.
there's some nerd out there being like, actually,
Actually, Peppy was fuck off. Then there's Falco, the asshole, who I like.
Yeah.
And then there's Skippy, the frog, who I tolerate.
Slippy.
Slippy. Did I call him Skippy?
Yeah.
He looks like a Skippy.
I thought it was a girl.
No, he's the big fat guy with the cap on. No way.
I thought it was a short, chubby girl.
No, it has to be a guy.
All right.
Because fucking, oh, God.
2020, gender's fluid.
I'm clipping on it right now.
it a frog?
Slippy Toad is a character from he was created by Shigeru Miyamoto. Yeah, Slippy.
Well, now I have this weird attraction to a male frog.
So and I get that they're there to again, they throw a little bit of humor. They are a little humorous. They throw a little bit of sizzle onto the steak here, but they don't do anything. They fly in front of you. And then they ask you for help, and then they yell at you when you shoot them.
Right.
And this is my first big complaint: is I legitimately, and maybe just because I haven't played it a lot, maybe if you played it over and over, you would know better. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to shoot at. I just shoot at everything. But then half the time I shoot, and then I get one of them being like, "Hey, watch your aim," or "Hey,
anything
it's me."
that's glowing, you can shoot.
Right, but they glow.
Yeah, so shoot them.
Fuck,
you can't kill them.
exactly.
Friendly fire isn't on. You can't kill them.
God damn it! But then why put why can't the bad guys glow red and the good guys glow blue or fucking something?
Just to do this to you.
Just to make me mad 20 years later.
The director of the game is
fucking-
like, oh, you know what'll be great? In 2020, a podcaster, you guys don't know what podcasting is yet because it's 1993, but in 2020, a podcaster is going to be furious about this. Put new characters in that you can shoot. They'll cuss them out. They won't die. They're just going to piss him off.
I fucking hate it. I can't tell what to shoot at. And it gets worse as you fucking go. And there are good things. I'll get to good things. I'm just trying to go about the shit I hate. I don't like the characters. I get the concept, but I don't like the characters. They get in the fucking way. They're annoying. I find the controls incredibly...
I think that's just the limitations of
It has to have been. I'm
'Cause as
sure on
soon
an
as-
analog stick,
Well,
it's much better.
As soon as you went on to the 64, that was a fucking great
Yeah.
title on 64. So when they had the analog stick, it revolutionized.
Sure. And as I sit here shitting on StarFox, I'm like, yo, if they would release a StarFox on the Switch with maybe the gyro controls or something, I feel like that would actually be pretty dope.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
today, this game would work perfectly because I'd be able to tell what the fuck I'm shooting at instead of just flashing triangles.
Especially if they didn't fuck with it and actually had it be a flying game. I
Right.
think that's, I don't know. I forget what it was on. I played a quick demo of a StarFox where the ship was flying and then all of a sudden it was a 3D adventure where I was able to side strafe and explore with the ship, but I wasn't just linearly flying forward. It was very, I don't know. And I was like, I don't want to explore with my ship. I want to fly and Ace Fighter combat.
Yeah.
With a fox. As the pilot.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, and I get that again, the limitations of this. The system could barely run this game.
Mm-hmm.
When you play it, even I was playing it. Excuse me, I was playing it this morning on my Switch on Super Nintendo Online, and they obviously just they wanted it to be a carbon copy print of the Super Nintendo game. The fucking lag and I'm not a frame rate guy. I'm not one of those guys that's it's only 58 frames per second or fucking whatever. At times, this game is 3 frames per second. The Super Nintendo is just no, we can't do this. No. And then the powers that be were oh yes, you can, and just stuffed it all in.
FX chip.
Do
it.
And I borderline unplayable at times. It fucking drove me insane.
Did you beat it when you were a kid?
I think I did as a kid.
Yeah.
I want to say I did because so the story, and I'm not gonna shit. Listen, if I'm gonna sit here and suck Mario's dick and be the world's biggest Mario Brothers fan,
Right.
I cannot shit on StarFox for a boring story because Mario's got the worst story going.
Well, I'm pretty sure everybody at Nintendo who developed those games, all the original Nintendo games, I think they were all smoking DMT or doing massive amounts of LSD because none of it makes sense. Why is there an Italian plumber in a fantasy world made by a bunch of Japanese dudes? Why isn't he a Japanese plumber?
I want to get into Shigeru Miyamoto's head so bad just to see where he comes up with some of these fucking ideas.
I'm telling you.
He's insane. I love it. I fucking adore that man so much. So basically, if I'm not mistaken, the concept of the game is there's what the fuck's the bad guy's name? Andros. And he lives on Venom. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
So he lives on this bad area, planet, whatever, and he's attacking
Their galaxy is 1 20 by 20 screen.
Yeah.
size, so it's easy to get to
Yeah.
Venom. It takes you about half an hour.
Yeah, it takes no time. It's around the corner.
while
so-
flying into other planets.
and so he's attacking Corneria,
Yeah.
which is where all the animals that are heroes live, I guess, because there's a dog general,
Yeah.
or admiral, or whatever the fuck he is.
General Pepper.
And he's telling, okay, so the dog admiral is telling the rabbit mentor, the fox apprentice, the fat frog sidekick, and the grumpy bird,
Yeah.
to go fight the evil monkey.
I think he's a gorilla.
Whatever, same thing. Fuck off. And I don't want to. If you listen to this and you're a monkey, you're the same fucking thing. And that's basically that. I get that. And that's basically the storyline. Is you're flying from Corneria. I assume that's how you say it. From Corneria to Venom,
Yeah.
through asteroid belts and ships
And an armada, and
Yeah, and that's
which is the best level.
and
I think.
Which one's that one?
The armada, where you're. I can't remember if it. I fly this one in first person, but I don't know if it switches automatically.
Is that the one where you go into the ships?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you go and blow up that core.
Yeah, okay.
I
So,
thought-
because I did want to give it some props, and that level's fucking rad.
Yeah.
And that's basically the whole game. Is you basically just control the fox and his friends, and you have to get through to fight the gorilla. And you can pick one of 3 paths, and like I said, it was basically easy, medium, or hard.
And then this bothered me. The gorilla is like the end boss. Instead of seeing the gorilla or him having some fucking sweet ship, he's a human face that tries to Kirby
yeah.
you. He tries to Kirby you in, so he'll
Yeah.
and suck your ship in, and you have to put the brakes on your space brakes. I don't know how the fuck that works. Your reverse thrusters.
This whole game just feels like a giant tech demo.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah,
And
actually.
it's almost like they made a tech demo and then we're like, hey, you know what? If we put a little more into this, we could sell this. And then that's what they went to Miyamoto and they're like, hey, can you create something we could put into this tech demo so we could sell it?
It's like, I just got a pet fox. I
Yeah.
got an idea.
Yeah. Or he was watching National Geographic at home one night trying to figure out how to
No, he's watching
how to-
Fox in the Hound.
Fox and the Hound. That's yes. I literally, you just beat me to it. He was watching Fox and the Hound and he was like, of course.
Why didn't I think of it? The hound will be the general. The fox will be the
The
pilot.
hound tells the fox what to do because the fox learned from the rabbit. Fuck. So you control these animals. You go easy, normal, or hard, and basically I think easy's 3 levels, normal's 4, hard is 5, or maybe
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, or something.
Yeah, and it's 3 different paths. Like easy's right through the middle.
Yeah.
I can't remember if hard. When I recently played it, I just went straight through the middle.
Yeah, one is right through the middle, one's up, and one's down.
Yeah.
And I will say, they do try to throw a little variety, because when I think of StarFox, admittedly, when I think of StarFox, my first thought is the levels where you're over the grass.
Yeah,
and there's the big
first level.
Right, and there's big robots carrying beams through and shit.
That's
and,
the attack on the planet where everyone's from.
yeah, and so that's what I think of. But once you get through that level, then you get up into outer space and stuff like that. And I instantly prefer those.
Yeah.
To me, that just feels more Star Fox. It's more spaceship shooty. I get that the Super Nintendo had limitations, and you brought this up earlier, and I wanted to get to it. You were you can't really explore. At some point, you'll go up, and the arrows will show up saying go down, and you can't go any higher.
Yeah.
And that was really frustrating to me playing the space levels because the bad guys would be shooting at me, and so I'd go up to dodge, and then suddenly hit this invisible ceiling,
Yeah.
and then take a bunch of damage because I didn't have time to go back down.
Yeah.
And I get it that the Nintendo. They clearly didn't have the means to fucking make a giant open world space game in 1993.
No, not with what they were doing graphically for the game. It just pushed it to the, like you said, pushed it to the limits.
Yeah,
right?
but I took so much damage just getting stuck at the top of the fucking screen or stuck on the sides or whatever like that. I feel like it should give you a warning earlier, hey, you're getting close to the top. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that I would know, okay, well, I better go back down because I think I can go over this damage and I can't.
They could have easily done something had one of your characters pop up, annoying the fuck out of you, being stay in formation. So
Yeah.
no, you're going too far out. You
That'd
gotta
be a
stay.
simple way to tell you, hey,
yeah.
don't go up. Because the controls themselves are fine.
Yeah, for what they were. Like you said, having a thumbstick would have been way better, but the time that wasn't a thing.
They work. I will say that from all the times I died, I felt the controls very rarely killed me. It was, again, a ton of it was getting stuck on the fucking edge of the screen, a ton of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are aspects, because I think it's way more fun to play in first person mode.
I do too. I think on planets I would play in third, just for moving around all the shit. There wasn't. I felt like there wasn't enough, and seeing the floor. Right?
Yeah. Because there were certainly times, where I, especially in some, I tried playing it on hard mode right before you came in, and on like the second level you're in space or whatever, and there's just like debris fucking everywhere, like not like asteroids, but like they're just like
Ships.
beams and ships and shit, and like in first person it's impossible to fucking die. I have no idea how to dodge it. Like I was dying so fast.
Shoot it all.
But like some of it, you hear the like tink tink tink, and like it's not fucking hurting it. I was, oh my god, I was just like, fuck this game and its ass. This game, I fucking hate it. I don't hate it. I almost hate it. Okay, I feel like I'm. Do you have anything you want to? I've shit all over this game. Before we go positive, do you have anything you want to shit on? Because like I feel like all I've done is yell at this game for 20 minutes.
So normally, like on lots of the games we cover, because I get to handpick what game. Adam has to talk about everything. I just get to handpick what I want to talk about. So I'm always like, oh, the soundtrack. This soundtrack sucked.
Yeah, the soundtrack did suck.
Normally, I'm promoting soundtracks like in Tony Hawk or in. I can't even remember what else, but in Chrono Trigger is another one. I love the soundtrack for Chrono Trigger. And like the Final Fantasy games, but this one, the soundtrack, it wasn't worth, it was just repetitive. It's, limited to the sound of the Super Nintendo, so it just wasn't anything great. And it wasn't like, with those other mentioned games, they spent time, like with Tony Hawk, they were like, oh, what are cool skater songs? So they spent time putting good music in it. With the Final Fantasy games, like they had a composer who, like you can listen to that music by a symphony. Same with like Legends of Zelda. They have symphony orchestras that travel playing that music, so it's just iconic and has stood the test of time. You don't have a symphony orchestra playing the StarFox soundtrack.
Like I'm torn. Like I honestly don't know anything about game development. I've said that on here countless times. I don't know. Like I don't know if maybe they were like, hey, we don't have enough like memory or resources left in the game to put sound in, because like clearly the graphical engine of this game pushes it to the fucking limit.
Right.
I don't know if that's what it is, or again, and I really feel like maybe this was what it was, is it was like a tech demo and they were like, hey, let's just make this a game, and they just plugged it in and were like, come up with some fucking soundtrack, like put something in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, people will play it based on the novelty of the 3D space, which it was at the time. It was novel, but like now you play it and it literally feels like the first 3D fucking just
At the first. That's it.
First.
It's
and
that's
broken.
That's a positive and a negative, right?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, for lots of things, I never get the first thing. I always wait for the second thing.
Of course,
knowing that the first thing is going to be shit.
And like, I literally because like I've come on here many times and said like, I feel like the PlayStation 1, Nintendo 64 era has not aged well. And I'll still die on that hill. I feel like that. This feels like one of those games running on a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And it's just broken.
It's probably like one of the big influences to the N64, though. Like,
has to be
seeing what they could do and be like, "Oh, this is a direction we can go."
Yeah,
right?
I believe that has to be. Okay, so soundtrack sucks.
Soundtrack sucks, and I mean that's something that in any kind of storytelling narrative, a good soundtrack, like a good orchestra, a good, even if it's like 8-bit sound or 16-bit sound, having a good soundtrack can enhance a game or a movie or a television show to like the next level. And it's something that people subconsciously pick up on. Like you don't consciously, oh, this is really good. But the Matrix soundtrack, for example, is so iconic. Or those other games I mentioned are so iconic with the soundtrack that when I hear the Chrono Trigger music, like I instantly am taken back and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
If I heard the StarFox soundtrack, I wouldn't even know what I was listening to.
Totally, yeah. I feel like that with Mega Man. Like I adore the Mega Man games on their own, but the music is so good in those games. It fires you up.
And timeless. Like that music from those games gets remixed into EDM soundtrack. EDM songs all the fucking time. Yeah. Right? Like it's great.
Whereas like this, I mean, you guys have already heard some of the music by the time we got into this, and it's just kind of like, whatever.
You should just do the voice lines for the intro. Because that's my other negative thing is the fucking Charlie Brown style like voice.
Right. But you remember though, like, I mean, dude, even as far as the Nintendo 64, Nintendo still barely puts voice acting in their fucking games.
Yeah.
They certainly weren't going to do it in 1993 on that fucking thing.
Well, and my complaint is like you have Slippy. You have the fucking Peppy. And then you have Falco. Like the deepest voice.
Because Falco's an asshole.
Well, I was like, why doesn't Fox have a deep voice? He's a fucking bird. Fox should have the deep voice. He's an actual carnivorous animal.
Yeah, but
like he's the most ruthless out of all three of the.
Falco's the biggest. I fucking love Falco. I want a Falco game.
I said 3. I'm dumb.
Okay, so that's what's bad.
Quick math.
That's all the stuff that's bad. The controls are bad. The graphics are bad. The gameplay is not great. The storyline sucks, and the music sucks.
So it's a bad game. Don't play this game.
Now that we've literally shit on every aspect of StarFox, There's some fun stuff in this game too.
So, one of the things they do really well is Howard Hughes did this in one of his films. He realized that when you have like fighting, for him it was airplanes, like biplanes too, because it was a World War I movie. I forget what the movie was called too. But when you have planes flying and you don't have any reference points, you can't tell how fast they're going. So on all the planets and in space, there's always something to reference how fast you're going, to give you a sense of forward momentum, right?
Yeah.
So on the planets, they have little dots everywhere on the ground.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're flying over those dots. I thought that was such a nice little... And I didn't notice this in 93. Like, I was a dumb kid.
I didn't notice this 2 hours ago. Yeah,
But I
right.
recently replayed it, and I was like, oh, hey, no, that's a really cool like way to get around something that maybe when they initially released it, they didn't have those, and so they didn't have like a scope of how fast you were moving. You would have had a scope that you were moving because objects were getting bigger as you flew past them. But this gives you like, oh, I'm fucking flying.
Yeah. That's, dude, I never thought of that. You're right.
I thought that was a real subtle thing that was like, oh, this is a good aspect to the game.
Yeah, I fucking right. I literally never thought of that till right now. I like that too.
And then the other thing I love about this game, and again, it's not a thing I noticed in 93. If I had read the instruction manual of anything, maybe I would have known this, but the super dark, like, little nod that they have. So, like, when they made the game, they realized that flying at high G forces can kill you by having your blood pool in your legs. So all of the Arrowwing?
I have no
Arrowwing
idea.
pilot, the StarFox pilots.
All
the
Animal
pilots.
Squad.
Yeah. The Animal Squad.
The Animal
That's
Squad.
way better
That's
than
their
whatever.
new name, the Animal Squad.
Yeah. You've heard of Animal House. Get ready for Animal Squad. In space, featuring Fox McCloud.
Fuck. So they're blood pools.
Yeah, so if you're flying at high Gs, your blood will pool in your legs and it'll kill you. So all of the Animal Squad has their legs amputated and they have metal prosthetics on the bottom. So when you look at pictures of them, when I was a kid, I used to draw like I would draw. That's what instruction manuals for me were, picture references to draw from, right?
Sure.
I draw like Chrono Trigger and shit like that. So you're drawing and you're like, oh, they got cool metal boots. Like, no, they actually are amputees and have no bottom legs.
Holy fuck! I'm looking at a picture of Fox right now, and yeah, it doesn't. What the fuck? I never noticed.
He is
that.
an amputee. All of them are. They can't handle the G-force, so they cut off their fucking legs.
Does it say that in the instruction book?
I don't know if it says it in the instruction book, but it's like a dark fact
Yes,
about the
he's
game.
got no legs. Holy fuck! All right, well. So this is all the things that are bad about the game. What's good about the game? They have no legs. That's what's good about the game. They're all amputees.
They're all amputees. They're heroic disabled people.
Wow.
I think they cut off their legs by choice. That doesn't make them disabled. That makes them...
I'm gonna end the. Jesus, I'm gonna end the podcast on that. No, I'm not. Okay,
But I thought that was cool. Like, it's a
That is a
weird,
cool
it's a
touch.
super, it's they have these real subtle touches to the game where I'm like, oh, like I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah, that is a
especially
cool
as a
touch.
kid, even as an adult, I wouldn't be like, oh, the G's that they're flying. At.
Right.
Like, it's such a weird thing to think of. And again, it's like just a nod to the creators being
Yeah.
like, oh, you guys were smoking DMT and making video games. Like, your studio must have been awesome back in the day.
So here's a good and bad thing about it. Here's my conflict with this game. I prefer the shooting in first person, like out of the cabin or whatever. I think it's so much more fun. You have those like that green like crosshairs thing and the
then
two
you see your
thing.
wings.
Yeah,
You have two little triangles to represent your wings, so you can, do the barrel. Do a barrel
do
roll.
a barrel roll.
Oh, that's in the 64
yeah,
one.
everybody knows that though. Do a barrel roll.
Do a barrel roll. Stupid.
I prefer the combat like that infinitely. Having
I don't
said
think
that,
you could do a barrel roll in the SNES one.
Yeah,
think
you could.
I think you could go.
no, you could take them sideways, and then if you double tapped it, it would
could?
do you do the spin. Yeah.
Because they didn't say do a barrel roll, so I just.
Well, it's because they couldn't talk. And if you look down to read it, yeah, exactly. You look down to read it, you die. So you fucking, I prefer the combat in the first person, but trying to dodge stuff in first person is fucking impossible. And I will say, dude, especially in some of the later levels, like, and you mentioned that one, I can't remember the name of it now, the one where you go into the ship.
Oh, that's the Armada.
That is fucking sick. And it almost feels like a 3D Battletoads at points, but much easier.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to like dodge
Battletoads, the hardest game ever
the-
made.
ever. You're controlling like your ship through this fucking giant ship, and you're like, there's less combat and more about your like going up and down or tilting it. Like you said, you could tilt it 90 degrees and then have it be like a vertical ship.
Yeah.
And you're going through these little beams, and it's really not that hard, but it feels fucking awesome.
And like that's exactly it. It feels like you are an ace fighter
Yeah,
pilot in
yeah.
space, and you could shoot. They'd have little arrows, and you'd shoot the arrows, so then it'd flip the other way, and you'd be like, oh, "Okay, so it's gonna go
Yeah.
that way."
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I'd shoot it and be like, "Oh, it's telling me to be on that side." So
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
shoot it and then go that side, and it would move the other way, or I'd just smoke it and be like, "Oh,
What's crazy to me is that a game that's based upon flying these spaceships at crazy speeds through space is more fun in an enclosed environment when you're flying through, but it's so much more fun. And then and I will also give it credit. Like I actually enjoyed most of the boss fights in this game.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
frustrating as I found a lot of the combat and the dodging shit, when you actually get to a boss fight and then, excuse me, it's video game 101. Every boss in the history of video games, their weakness is glow or flash or something. Like that's just what video game bosses do. And in these ones, they're so obvious that you see the little flash. It almost is like Contra, like where you see the little flashing thing and you're like, well, I know what I have to shoot.
Yeah.
And then after you shoot it a bunch, usually it breaks and then you have to shoot some other part and some other part.
yeah."
Thoroughly enjoyed the boss fights in this game.
All of them. I think all of them were great. And
You mentioned the one where you fight the core thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest one. You're trying to dodge these electric beams and the ship is spinning around you.
and you have to shoot the beams closed, and then
Yeah.
and then shoot the core.
Yeah,
and
and then you take
launching
off
shit.
out of the ship as it's
Yeah.
exploded. Fucking awesome! Like
Yeah.
I was like, this whole game should just be boss fights. It'd be so much more fun.
Yeah, actually.
boss fights and flying through the ships, so
Yeah.
much more fun.
Well, and I think initially when you go in the ship, your autopilot kicks in. But I always, when I was a kid, I was like, this would be so much cooler if you had to. It's that initial, like, you're going through a hallway getting in the ship, and it's like
Oh yeah. We're like it's just
before
like a
you're in the
cutscene almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it would be awesome if you could fly like that. Like,
Oh yeah,
like actually
like
had
around corners.
around corners and stuff, because that's the 3D aspect of the game that they didn't quite have enough to utilize.
Yeah. I enjoyed the fuck out of that. Like it felt like two different games.
So
like
the core is your favorite boss?
yeah, I think so.
I think he's on Venom. It's that spider boss where he starts out like tick, 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 and it's this very distinct clicking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he has these giant legs, and he comes ripping out, and he's like a ground unit at first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you start shooting at him, and you're shooting the legs, and his legs slowly lift up, and then he's a spinning flying.
And then he's
saucer.
flying around.
And then you keep shooting him, and he starts launching the legs at you like giant missiles.
Yeah.
Fuck, I love that boss.
Dude, like the boss fights are again, like I'm not trying to. I don't know how they develop games, but like it really feels like they did it was a tech demo and they're like, all right, let's make it into a game, and it really feels like they focused on the boss fights first and made them awesome, and they're like, well, we better put some levels in to make it get to the boss, and the levels aren't as fun. Like steering through the ships is fun, but other than that, like when you're on like the main planet and stuff, I feel like it gets old very fast.
Yeah.
It's just like just shoot anything that flashes and just fly to the end of the level.
Till like the last level, there's a couple unique. They're not bosses; they're like mini bosses, I guess. But again, it's if it's a mini boss, it's still they focused on it. There's like that one where it's like it goes and it clones itself, and then as you're shooting it, it becomes like a giant centipede. Like it, I don't know. There's some cool like. He wasn't quite a boss, but
Right. I don't know. It feels like a ton of like empty space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
they just couldn't fill it with anything else, but it's just a ton of empty space.
and that's the jump between the Super Nintendo one to the N64. Like
Sure.
that, they filled it in N64.
Sure. And again, it really fascinates me that they don't do. I mean, who knows? By the time this episode goes live, maybe Nintendo will have announced the StarFox game on the
Because
Switch.
of this episode.
Maybe because of this episode. I don't know. All I'm saying is, it surprises me that they haven't really done more with this franchise. Because like, admittedly, playing this game, I was like, I can see the cool parts of this. It just hasn't. Again, in '93, we were probably like, this is sick.
I thought it was amazing in '93. It was
in-
one of the like I owned Chrono Trigger, Maximum Carnage, this game, the Legends of Zelda, and Mario.
Mario World.
Right.
Yeah.
Those
Pretty
are that was
decent lineup.
That was what I owned.
That right there?
Everything else I had to rent.
That right there is why the Super Nintendo is one of the greatest consoles of all time. Because
Those
like, look at the
five?
game you just said. I
Yeah,
mean,
those are like the mint game. And Star Fox was great if you only had a little bit of time to play. So
Yeah.
you just
Yeah,
or,
it
or
was.
if you were in competition with someone to get a high score.
Yeah, 'cause
because
you
they gave you percentages for how well you did.
that's right. You could get the score, and then at the end of each level, you could see how much damage like your 3 sidekicks took. And I think if one of them died, they were dead.
Yeah.
Like they didn't help you for the rest of the game. Not that they
Good.
fucking do anything
Good.
anyway. And like even when you get to the boss fights, like where the fuck? You're like fighting that core thing, and you're like, "Hey, Slippy, where the fuck are you now?" And he's like, "Nowhere." Doesn't even
Yeah.
answer you. He's just fucking Falco. I imagine Falco just floating outside the ship, being like, "Fuck him. He can do it. Fuck him."
You see Fox. They see Fox flying in. They're like, "Oh, wait a minute. Actually,
If Fox dies, I'll be in charge. Fuck him. Let him die.
Yeah. I mean, the Armada's pretty much destroyed. We'll just hang out here while he destroys it.
Yeah, that's all they do. And then you get out and they're like, hey, help me. Little help. And you're like, go fuck yourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. I know I've been pretty rough on it. I get it though. It's a 27-year-old game. It's basically, for my money, a very glorified demo.
It's older than most of your listeners.
It is older than a lot of our fucking listeners. It launched a franchise-ish.
Yeah, sort of.
If anything,
he's in Smash Brothers. It's a franchise.
2 of them are in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
so
Falco.
3 of them, because Dark Fox is in Smash Brothers.
Oh, Wolf.
Whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So like, there's 3 Smash Brothers characters based on Star Fox. We're just not getting any more Star Fox games. Did you play Star Fox 2? I just quickly wanted to touch on it before we shut this down.
Not yet.
I literally fired up for the first time today.
Good.
Seems okay. It definitely seems like a more polished version of Star Fox 1. You could pick like any of the characters you want to control. They added 2 girl characters.
The blue wolfy fox thing.
No, I think one's like a bunny.
I don't even know what her name is.
One's
She's part of the 3D adventure game. She has like
okay.
a staff and she's like a tribal hippie fox thing.
Okay.
I don't know.
I didn't play as them. I played as Falco. Right? I had Fox and Falco.
Fuck yeah.
But I'm surprised they didn't release it. Like maybe because obviously they had it like 99% developed if they dropped it onto the Super Nintendo Classic. Like maybe they just thought like, hey, the Nintendo 64 is either out or about to come out. It's already doing this way better if we put the money into printing and releasing. Because especially back then, you guys, like there was no digital sales in fucking the mid 90s. If they wanted to release a game, you go buy those cartridges and all the chips and print the boxes and ship it. Maybe they just felt like it was just not worth the money. Like it might have been all it was.
It could have been that. It could have been like a limited release in Japan.
It really surprises me that it never showed up until now. And then we got it for free on the Super Nintendo Classic, and we got it for free. You had to buy the Super Nintendo Classic and buy Nintendo Online, but like I'm blown away that it didn't show up on like the Wii Virtual Console or the Wii U Virtual Console or something. Like,
yeah.
It just seems insane to me that they had this game just sitting there that they could have charged almost a touch of a premium for, because people would have paid for it to try a new game.
And it could have been just the amount of time that had passed. Like it was
Maybe.
on the back shelf and people had forgotten about it. So
Maybe.
somebody uncovered it. Some
feels,
Nintendo archaeologist going through the archives. And, whoa, Star Fox 2.
That's what it feels like. It feels like they found an old flash drive or something and were like, hey, what's on this? And they're like, holy fuck, there's a game on here. And then they just released it.
Yeah,
So
that's actually what happened.
I think that is what happened.
That's the now official story.
that is what happened. So
You heard it here.
got any thoughts on Star Fox before we score this bad boy and shut her down?
No, that's pretty much it. I covered everything I really wanted to talk about it. I beat it. I'm proud of that. That
Take
stupid
that.
fucking face and that
The hard mode?
No, I'm a bitch. I play it on easy.
Yeah, me too.
34 years old. I don't do anything that's hard anymore.
I'll tell you, man, I'm looking at the scores right now, like just like on Wikipedia, like 35 out of 40, 34 out of 40, 5 out of 5, 9 out of 10, 95, 96, 93. That almost blows me away. But then I got to take myself back to 1993. This was a big deal.
In 93, it was a revolutionary game.
It to me, the Super Nintendo has aged incredibly well. Same as the Sega. Listen, I know I shit on Sega a lot, but like the Sega Genesis, like those two, that 16-bit era has aged very well. Not every game, but like the 2D games are. Oh, I am too.
I played like one game on the Sega, and I would say Sonic. Like it's a fun game.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like those games are as playable today as they were. If it sucked then, it sucks now.
Don't know any other Sega. The Aladdin game. I played the Disney
course.
games on them. So yeah,
Like
I don't know any other Sega Genesis games
that era aged well, and this game didn't. And it's so rare to me that a game from that era didn't age well. But this game just hasn't. Like if you haven't played it since then, maybe fire it up once for nostalgia's sake on your Super Nintendo or on your Nintendo Online on your Switch or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're good.
Smoke a huge amount of weed and then play it. It'll be trippy as fuck.
Oh Christ! Yeah, right. I mean, you'd be like that frog. I fucking hate that frog. Okay. What are we gonna score this thing out of? I'm trying to think of unique ways to fucking score these games.
10 out of 10 Goldblums. Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. No. How about out of I don't know. I don't care. From an A to an F.
A to an F.
A to an F. What grade would you give Star Fox?
Same grades I got in school. C+, baby. C's a pass.
You know what?
I would give it a B. Like a B+, because it was ambitious. Like you said, it might have been a tech demo that they made into a game. I don't know. I didn't like the music. That takes it away from an A or an S.
Yeah.
And it's quick and easy. easy in air quotes. Like it's just a quick game.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot to it, but I feel like it was a really good stepping stone. It was revolutionary at the time. That puts it above like a C or a D. Like it definitely puts it in that solid B.
All right.
There were things they could have done better.
Oh yeah.
And one of the things I wanted to say, I like that they could have just had like one style of weapon, but
Yeah.
you actually could upgrade your weapon 2 times, right? So that was cool.
Oh yeah, because you could find stuff, right?
Yeah, there was like a little set of lasers, and you'd fly through it, and then all of a sudden, instead of having a single laser from the front of your
That's
ship,
right.
you'd have 2, and you could upgrade it one more, and instead of being lasers, it'd be these big like plasma balls.
And then you had like your bombs and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, I'm gonna give it a D. I'm gonna give it a D.
Whoa!
Yeah, and I played it as a kid. But here's the thing, you guys. Since I started this show almost 2 years ago, I have played so many retro games that I'd never played before. And 90% of them, as a retro gamer and as a video game fan, I'm like, this is still playable today.
Yeah.
I'm still enjoying this today. I didn't enjoy this. I was like, this has not aged well. I can't figure out what the fuck to dodge. I don't know what I'm supposed to be shooting at. I hate my teammates. The story sucks. The music sucks. With the exception of the boss fights and flying through ships, I don't think it's fun. And listen, there's only one other retro game that I have fired up and played for the first time ever to prepare for this podcast that I was like, this kind of sucks. And we haven't talked about it yet. So I'll tell you what it is off the air. And when that episode eventually comes up, I'll be like, you guys remember when I mentioned that there was one other game? It's this one.
Yeah. And what everybody got from your rant just now is that you suck at video games.
Yeah, I do suck at video games. I have a Let's Play series called Adam Sucks at Video Games. I suck at video games.
Everybody's like, he didn't figure out what to shoot in StarFox?
You
Everything
shoot
was
everything.
glowing!
But that's it. You shoot everything. No, that's real fucking creative. Shoot everything. Fuck right off.
That's all I want to do.
Contra was fucking 10 years older than this, or whatever the fuck it is. It's not that old, but it's on NES.
It is.
And you didn't shoot everything. You shot the bad guys. And it looked better, and it played better, and it was more fun, and it was harder, but I beat it.
It wasn't
because
3D.
it was better to
It
play.
wasn't 3D. Side scroller.
Fuck
It's easy to
you
make it.
and StarFox. I'm cheering for the gorilla.
At least you know he's a gorilla now.
Or whatever the fuck he is. Good stuff. Thanks for doing this, buddy. That was good. All right. And that's going to do it for this week's episode, everybody. Tyler, thank you for coming over and talking about StarFox and Friends with me, and to every single one of you that reached out with well wishes and downloaded old episodes of the show to get your fix while I was gone, and that came back after our little absence there. Thank you so much. Let's keep this thing growing. I'm so excited to see where we end up before we get to episode 100. My goal, as I've mentioned, was to get to 20,000 downloads by episode 100. We're at almost 30,000 downloads, and we're not even at 85 yet. So I can't wait to see where this thing ends up. I will be back next week with episode 83. And if you haven't already signed up, please consider patreon.com/rememberthegame. It's only $2. I'm going to be doing shout outs next week. I'm going to be doing the prize draw next week. And you have 14 bonus episodes, with a 15th coming on Monday about a certain blue knight who likes to swing a shovel. And you get access to all those for just $2 a month. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Please give us a good review. Please follow us on social media at @rememberthegame. I'll follow you back, and I'll talk to you again in a few days. Take it easy, guys. It's good to be back. Cheers.